The right to receive, the choice to sacrifice, the 1 Corinthians 9:1-12 KJV. Paul writes to the Corinthian church defending his apostleship and clarifying a matter that had caused confusion and criticism. Some questioned whether he was truly an apostle, but Paul reminded them that he had seen the risen Christ, and the very existence of the Corinthian church was proof of his ministry. He points out that as an apostle, he had the same rights as others, the right to food, support, and even to be accompanied by a wife in ministry like Peter and the Lord's brothers. He uses simple, everyday examples to make his case. Soldiers don't go to war at their own expense. Farmers eat from the vineyard they plant. Shepherds drink the milk of the flock they tend. Even the law of Moses teaches this principle. Thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn. If God made provision for animals, how much more for those laboring in spiritual things? Those who sow spiritual seed should naturally receive material support. Yet here's the striking part. Though Paul had the right to receive, he chose not to exercise it in Corinth. Others had been supported by the church, but Paul worked with his own hands, suffering need, lest anyone accuse him of preaching for money or personal gain. His example teaches us that while Christian workers deserve support, sometimes love requires personal sacrifice for the sake of the gospel. The lesson for us today is twofold. First, we should honor and support those who faithfully labor in the word and ministry. Spiritual nourishment is of far greater value than material things, and it is right that God's servants are cared for. But second, we see Paul's heart of humility and sacrifice. He was willing to give up his own rights if they became a stumbling block to others. In a world that constantly demands its rights, Paul calls us to put the gospel above personal privilege. The message is clear. True ministry is not about what we can gain, but about what we are willing to give. Paul lived out Christ's example. Though he was rich, he became poor for our sake. Likewise, every believer is called to serve not for recognition or reward, but out of love, sometimes laying aside what is rightfully ours for the sake of others. In this, the gospel shines brightest.